Boxing is weird. Ryan Garcia is nuts. Serrano-Taylor 3 confirmed. So, yeah, have you ever wondered how you see, like, I don't know how many different champions in boxing, and you might actually even find yourself not having a clue who this champ is or who that one is? I wouldn't blame you. It can even happen to us, and we work in this. Yes, does boxing have way too many belts? It does. Does the division of having four different institutions regulating stuff complicate matters? It does. But don't worry, things are about to get even more complicated as we actually found out that TKO, that is led precisely by Ari Emanuel and has currently UFC and WWE, is partnering with the Saudis and their public entertainment group of Saudi Arabia. And they are about to launch themselves into boxing. So, you remember how we just established that it's a little weird as it is precisely to have so many different things? Well, it's about to get weird. If we are to understand precisely, and Dana White came out actually making said announcement, as well on the side of the Saudis, they did proper. And pretty much they're selling the bag of goods right now that they're going to be launching. And it's going to be great. Of course it is. And it's going to pretty much compromise that they're going to be facilitating everything that is already in disposition of the UFC as far as the training facilities, obviously the medical, training, everything, the whole nine yards. They're trying to target and make the sport of boxing much more efficient, and they're trying to cut off of choosing fights and this and that, but all the things that are hugely criticized often by Dana White. Now, do I think that this is going to be great for boxing? I don't know, man. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to start fabricating boxers? No, they're just going to have to be on a wild hunt to actually take fighters away at the same time of building their own. They're going to be recruiting. They're going to have academies. They're going to have their own training facilities and everything. That's great, but this is much more a long-term project if you're going to just be developing boxers, scouting for talent. In reality, they're going to have to do a combination of both. Not only their homegrown will be the long-term effect. The short term, they're actually going to have to go seeking for boxers that are already made. Now, the problem is this. Are they going to have enough of a push to be able to drag away said fighters who are already established everywhere and take them over? Well, there's a key element to that. How much money are they willing to put down? And here is where the Saudi element obviously comes into play. We've been seeing the cards that they've actually been displaying, and by all intents and purpose, it is humongous. You can notice that the budget is pretty much endless, and after that, endless. And if anything, Ronaldo rings a bell with his huge contract, and everyone else that obviously in the sport branch has been presented with a bunch of money. That would be pretty much their presentation card. Not even to mention that every time they host an event, it's obviously money flying. So, are they going to be able to buy out any and every boxer? Well, that is possible, honestly. In the sport of boxing, there's a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that money is pretty much spread to everyone equally. Unless you are Canelo Alvarez, well, there is much of a tipping line. Now, is Canelo the only one that moves money? No, but he is the needle mover for sure. Now, after that, things get a little more murky because Canelo can sell out with anyone, pretty much. You put a broomstick and he'll still sell out. Aside from that, many other fighters actually do struggle. Yeah, there's a few other fighters you can actually put there. Then again, after that, there's a long list. And I tell you, you might not be able to identify a lot of boxers. And, they happen to be very good. It's just that there's so many of it. And that's part of the complication that when you have the abundance of so much substance, the special element gets taken away. And that's part of what we do have in boxing. It's like if you have four different champions at 130 pounds, who is the greatest? And, it becomes confusing because then you actually begin to wonder, are they all equally good? Who's the better? There's too many questions that are unnecessary. And the prestige of the title actually gets the bump in the middle. I think it's interesting. I think at the same time, it's very early on to see if this is going to be something effective. But money, in the end, is a driving force to many more things. I do think that boxing can be weird in many ways. And one of them is that even though there's so much of everything everywhere, there always seems to be space for much more. There's a lot of people that associate that boxing is dying. Look at how the health of the business currently stands. The fact that, yes, did HBO actually move away from boxing? They did. But guess what? Another one stepped up. And that's the thing. There's still a lot of health. And when you are a sports business, the property of TV rights, it's too strong. So another one is always going to step up. And that's the thing. The space is healthy. And when you bring even more money to the fold, it should be great for boxing. Now, like in any business, you can have a lot of money. Having the proper direction is key. They're bringing Dana White into the fold. You might actually associate him a lot with MMA, which rightly so, since 2001 in front of the UFC, and he's been a very important element to the success they have. He did come from boxing before that. So, yes, he does know boxing, and he's always been flirting with it. I think that he would actually be the balance out of all this money being directed the proper way because he would actually know the business element to it. So, yes, I think that eventually this is going to be a good thing. That could actually even be great. And hey, far be it. More economic opportunities for people. Great. Let me not be the one to tell you the contrary. Ryan Garcia. Man, is this guy nuts? So, after the whole weird 2024 in which Ryan Garcia did any and every single stupid thing possible, posting himself to be drunk, utilization of drugs, and anything else, he went off to suck up on Donald Trump, like a bunch of erratic behavior. He has now apologized for that. He is ahead of fighting now in May. And just obviously, he got busted for PEDs against Devin Haney and so forth. 1 year suspension, this and that. This guy is just the proof of what immaturity is pretty much such a tough poison for you. It's very unfortunate to deal with Ryan Garcia and all his bullshit drama that comes in the middle. Look, the kid is incredibly talented, but he has always so much baggage that is so negative. Yes, does that sell? That does sell for a while, but eventually it does come down to the fact that you can hurt your reputation so much that that connection you might actually have for the crowd, with the crowd, dies out. And I think that if he continues that pace, he might get there. The kid is very talented. If you've seen him box, you know it. But he brings to the table a lot of weird, erratic behavior. And he's too, what is it, Gen C, whatever, very soft with everything social media related, having these implosions, his feelings hurt, whatever. And we saw what he did in the hotel where he acted out and did a bunch of property damage and everything. That kid can actually be a damage to himself. I hope that he does not end in tragedy, that he finally does actually find the Lord's calling. He has put God in his mouth, unfortunately not in his actions so far. So hopefully he actually finds and turns around. So, Taylor and Serrano 3 confirmed. It will be coming in July 11th on Netflix. Wow, the trilogy actually comes to a play. If you were seeing the Mike Tyson Jake Paul card in November, yes, the fight itself, the main event was a fiasco. However, the true main event was Taylor against Serrano prior to them. Man, what a slugfest between those two. Yes, I think that Serrano was stolen from that fight. Taylor pretty much looked like she was flying for her life. Left, right, whatever. And Serrano just pretty much was the aggressor. It's very interesting to see the trilogy go on. I just hope that the judge is much more fair this time around. The judging was not fair in that second fight. And I know there was controversy. Oh, look at me. Surrounding the first fight and the second fight. It was way too evident. And hopefully that is taken care of for this next fight. There was already a situation in which Amanda Serrano actually called out Taylor on the fact that they had agreed in pretty much handshake deal to the fact of having 12 3-minute rounds like the men. And apparently there was a backup of no, it's going to be 2-minute rounds, 10 of them. Hopefully that actually gets settled for this next fight. I find it interesting that Serrano wants to fight in the equality of conditions towards the men. Makes a bunch of sense. Hat tip to her. Serrano is a hell of a fighter. She's really pretty much cut her teeth to be where she is. Very talented fighter. Same can be said for Taylor. Taylor's very rough. Do not take this performance as a standard of, oh, she's weak or whatever. No, she's a hell of a fighter. And the fact that these two went out, we saw the classic style of Mexican brawl pretty much between these two. It was carnage. It was tough to see even because, it's women. You really don't want to see that much of a carnage going on, but you don't at all actually paying them for the fact of having so much heart and so much willingness. I think it's going to be great money. Business booming, booming, booming. Netflix had as much as 74 million viewers for that event. Humongous. Looking forward to see, obviously, this one having corrected the issues we already saw the NFL, how it actually came out uneventful. So this time around, the boxing event should be fine in the same way. First time out, obviously, you can actually expect Netflix to have a few issues like they did. They've been doing it great with WWE as well, so that should be uneventful. And it's going to be great. It's going to be in MSG. Boom! It should be a phenomenal card right there in the middle of the summer. Heat is coming, baby. Serrano-Taylor 3, super confirmed. Remember, leave your comments and be happy. Boom!